Oh wow, this is the scary bit. Yeah.
Woo! Very good morning. It did it again. It skips a scheme. Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter Sunday. And without further ado, here's my guest, Leslie. I'm so
Hi.
excited. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So
Happy
if
Easter to everyone.
Happy Easter. It's like so strange to be like, I don't know, Easter at the moment, because usually we would do like an Easter egg hunt. And even I went into the shop last week and they have hardly any eggs left. Like I don't know what
Really?
I don't know what happened to the Easter bunny this year, but maybe the Easter bunny had to socially distance and couldn't make so much eggs. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let me just bring some of the comments in. So, Leslie, tell us a bit about yourselves. How long have you been beading? What is your passions? What's your favorite projects? What do you like? If you wake up 2 a.m. in the morning, what's the most exciting thing? Like, you just wanna sort of have a go and play around with it.
I've been beading now for coming up to 7 years. Before that, I'd really only strung a few beads onto some thread, maybe. I did a lot of cross stitch, which had beads then, but beading just wasn't on my radar. I did creative embroidery, stump work, gold work, that sort of thing. Then I was getting married and I was in a little shop looking at tiaras that were more than the cost and the budget for my wedding dress. Huge, huge cost. And there was one that had these really cute little flowers. And I asked the shop owner about them. She said, "Oh, they're French beaded flowers." I'm like, okay, what are they? So, as we all do in this day and age, I went home and Mr. Google told me all about French beaded flowers. I'm like, "Oh, they're cute." No, I wasn't thinking of my tiara. I didn't want fresh flowers for my wedding bouquet, so I was looking at different options. Anyway, the fates aligned and there was a bead fair close to me. Didn't really even know what a bead fair was, to be honest.
Which one was it?
And it's a defunct one now. It was at a race course. Um, but not the big bead show. It was just a little one. And there was a lady there who made French beaded flowers. So I popped along, had a chat to a lovely lady called Katie Dean, who had the most amazing bouquets on display and convinced me that I could make my own wedding bouquet. And I've never really looked back.
I love it. I love that, like, you got into beading because you wanted to create something special for your special day. I think
Yes.
that's so powerful, and I love French beading as well myself. We all have like, our favorites, and Sarah loves French beading as well so much, but it's
Mm,
like sort of time to make everything up, because French beaded flowers, like, they are a great, and I still got my ones here. I was showing to you that last night. We had a quick word with Leslie just to make sure everything is all right. But they do take some time to make them. But what I love about French beading, that you can steep mold and mold and mold the flower, and like, they sort of never really done. Like, I keep going back
it's
and
a
like, so
very it's a very forgiving technique.
yes.
Um, yes, patterns will say string on 5 beads or an inch of beads, but if you put 7 beads on, it really doesn't matter
No,
in a lot of cases. If you're doing peyote and God forbid you string an extra bead on, you've got an issue. But French beading, no,
no. Camille's just saying,
it's
oh,
great,
of course.
and I just love taking all these teeny tiny beads and turning them into recognizable flowers.
I think it's great as well. And we do all sorts of beading. We do like necklaces, earrings. We do like loads of different things. But I think it's so nice just to sit and do something for home decor. What you then can have on the side and display your, I guess, techniques. This display your passion for a certain craft in your home as well. And I know you got some really fabulous pieces there to show us just in a sec. They just, I think that when you look at them, they put a smile on your face. They just like really brighten your day because you made them. You know they look
Mm,
beautiful, and it's there. And when other people come around to your home, I mean, at the moment we're not allowed to let anybody in, but when other people come around your home and they see it and they would say like, "Oh, where did you get that?" And you can say, "Well, you all made it," and I think that's sort of that's really nice. That's really nice. Right. So shall we go down and have a look, like
yes,
what you have been making? We have set up a couple of different camera angles because obviously with the flowers they're sort of quite big. So we see and then we're going to change over and look at some of them a little bit more close up because there is so many different techniques. So it's not just French beading. There is Victorian beading as well, and
there is.
Leslie's going to talk us through that as well. Um, it's like anything, there is some, even like saying French beading, it's like this category is like this big, but there is so many little segments and so many little techniques and hints and tips and so many different things you can do within it. And just like turning the wires different ways, adding different number of seed beads and making different loops, connecting them in different places. You can shape all this weird and wonderful replicate nature. Right, let's go down to our mat and let's have a look what you have got for us.
Well, this is where it all started. Um, these are leftover bits from my wedding bouquet. And I started, as I said, with absolutely no experience whatsoever. And I had an ebook with some videos. And I look back at it now and think, oh, I'd have done it a lot differently. But at the time, I was really, really proud of it. And as I said, you can start with no experience. My hen night, Katie came along and my friends made their own corsages.
Oh, wow.
And again, most of them weren't beaders. So
Wow.
it really is something you can do from scratch. It's starting out, it can be really inexpensive. You just need some beads, some wire, and wire cutters or an old pair of scissors. And something like these widgets of you can do with absolutely no experience. So that was where it started. Excuse me leaning across. This was probably the second major piece that I made. This was for my husband. When
Oh,
it started off, they were three distinct colours. I was quite innocent when I started out. I didn't realise that seed beads came in lots of different qualities. I quickly learned, but these were made with seed beads that probably weren't the best quality, and they have faded really, really badly. But again, these were made by just making loops of beads and putting them together.
I think that is it. So sometimes you can have um so beads can be surface colored or they can be the color can go all the way through the bead itself. And it doesn't really matter. Like even some of the most expensive brands like Miyuki and that they can fade and lose their color as well.
Yeah,
But it just depends what you use. And I have, we were talking about this, I got another little one here, which these used to be purple, and because I was keeping them in the sun on in the windowsill, they went like a pink color. I do like them. I do like them pink, but they were definitely purple. So sometimes you can't help it that they're gonna change the color. But I think if you like, I like to work with solid colors more because they don't like when the opaque colors, when the color doesn't change at all. But because the beads, some of the beads are so beautiful in like color line than some of the other finishes as well. I think I just embrace it. Just because it's changed the color, I just embrace it. Oh wow, I
Yes.
love that.
These this was my own design, and I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a variety of color finishes here. We've got the blue beads, which are more opaque, and then we've got silver lined. Oh, sorry, fingers. Supposed to focus on my finger. And then we've got the silver line. It looks really complex, but again, each petal is basically a loop of beads with another loop going across. It's called a crossover technique, and 6 petals.
It looks
Lots of them.
lovely.
It takes an awful lot. Quite often, though, it's how you put your flowers together that gives the impact. As you as you can see on there, you haven't just got the flower, you've got the leaves, but at the bottom, I've just put a string of brown beads to represent the bulb because most hyacinths, the bulbs come out of the ground. It looks as though they're planted in soil, but they're not. One trick, one trick that I learned when I was making miniatures is if you take either coffee grounds or tea leaves, mix them with a bit of PVA glue and water. When it dries out, it gives you soil.
Wow, that looks really good. I think
Yeah.
I got moss on the bottom of mine, and
Mm.
but the problem with that, the, every so often when you sort of try to tidy up, and then find little bits of moss here and there and everywhere. They get everywhere.
Well, I've got 2 cats, and the cats would pick the moss out. I can't
Oh,
have pot plants because my tabby just eats them. So those were my hyacinths.
I love them. I had them in the kitchen last year, but this year they didn't come. But they did come back up, but they didn't flower. Oh, I love this little guy.
This was a cactus that I made for a friend for a birthday. Slightly different technique. I've still used the French beading, but what I've done is taken a polystyrene ball and attached each of the little leaflets to the polystyrene ball, and then just made a little flower on the top, which is really effective. So instead of wiring them together, you're just using little bits of wire to stick them into the polystyrene. Oh, thank you, Tina. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. I
But
think if you're passionate about something, you tend to be quite good at it. And Kitty asked what I think about at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's, can I do that flower in bead? What will happen if I use that bead? Some of the flowers I'll show you later, I have used beads other than seed beads, and that's something I love playing about with. The other thing I love playing about with is taking a pattern and showing how you can do lots of different options from that one basic pattern.
right, just in a second, we're gonna change the angle of the phone, and then we're gonna see a little bit more close up from the top, lovelies.
Right. So roses I love, but roses are or were my nemesis. When I was making my bouquet, that was the one flower I couldn't get my head around. And it took me a long time. I had a real block about them, but now I love making roses. So they're made using a technique called the basic technique, which is a slightly more advanced technique, but it's one that is used for petals and an awful lot of leaves. And Sarah will have gone through that, I think, on her rose.
Well, I'm gonna. How many have you got? Because we're saying that when you put it in front of your face, they show up better. I think the light's just
Oh,
seeing them in a different way. So if I
okay.
come back to this one, this screen, can you just hold it up in front of you?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh wow! Look at that. That I love that.
If I take the computer back, that one might actually be better in the light box, but the others.
We put it in and we go back to that scene and then we can always come back. We can go back with some flowers, not a problem at all. I think it's the
No.
how the light is the camera is focusing on the light. So let's come back to you.
Right, let's
I love it.
take them out of them. This is one of the latest projects, and cherry blossoms, and I just love them. They're so pretty.
I
What
love
I've done on these ones though is they have, oh, they're called together. I've got two different types of beads there. I've got a frosted bead here. There we go. And then a shiny bead there, which doesn't show up terribly well on camera, but just gives it gives more depth to the flowers,
definitely.
or at least I think they do.
I think like when you're mixing like two or three colors together or finishes, when you put like a frosted finish next to a shiny finish, they just enhance both of them. And when you look at a
Yes.
petal or you look at anything like that, there is always a little bit part of the petal which is a bit more shiny or a bit different color or a little bit like it's
Mm.
got like a spot on them. Everybody's saying like how lovely.
I
They
think
would
there
like
is.
they would like to see the cactus again. Would you be
Yes,
able to hold out the cactus?
I've got cactus. Right, my glamorous assistant is
Oh, I
taking the
know.
flowers off me. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Oh wow, that looks lovely.
And it
Up a little bit.
up.
Let me. What if I go? What I could do? Give us 1 sec, and I am going to make you like wider so you can everybody can see it. That is lovely.
Oh,
That's
please no, I'm wide enough as it is. Thanks.
no. I mean, like that. I'll come off the screen so you can take the whole screen. I can make the screen big for you so you can see everybody. I think
That's
that's
it.
lovely.
I'll just take over the whole thing. Okay.
They love the cactus. I think it's so different. And with the cactus as well,
Yes.
that you can like make all sorts of different shapes. You can do all sorts of different, like, cactuses as well. Alone, cactuses alone comes in hundreds of different shapes.
One of the things, on my ever-growing to-do list is to do some houseplants. Because, as I said, my cats just kill my houseplants. So.
Oh, bless
Yeah.
them.
Now, there is a tendency, I think, just to put flowers in vases, but that's not the only way you can display them.
Oh, wow.
Whether the light's bouncing off it, but basically it's a candlestick, and I've just put some decorative sand at the bottom and stood a beaded rose in it.
That looks lovely. I've seen like similar ones in the range you can get, like candle holders like that. I think let me just go
Yeah,
to the if your phone is still there, then to this and see. Or did you not put into light? No, you changed it.
I can put it in.
No, that's all right. No, it's still not going to be like still a bit blurry. I think we're gonna need to change the camera and come from the top and
Okay.
then just go on this one. I seen those
Sorry, I forgot I was on camera. Oh,
Don't worry about it at
um,
all. It's all great. That this is like we are like I'm the same. Like so, I would be on a call or I would be on something, and Sam would come in and would put his head in, and he was like, and never knows if I'm just listening to something or I'm actually talking to somebody's talking to me.
Yeah.
So it's
Next one I've got to show you are my little poinsettias.
oh wow, look at those. They look lovely.
Again, I'll take them out. They were just in the little vase. As you can see, I'm a serial unfinisher,
So am I.
but it's because what I want to do eventually is a big display, and I'm giving myself options of how to put stuff together. So if I take part the
I'm gonna put you full screen again. There
yeah,
we go.
there we go. Now at the centre, the sparkly bits are actually Swarovski crystals
Wow.
with a sequin behind them.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea to put
Not
sequins.
my idea. This was a workshop I took with a lady in America, and then just a completely green one because that's how they start out.
Yeah, some of them are complete green, aren't they?
Yeah.
That looks lovely.
There are two ways you can approach your flowers, and you can have them as natural as you can get them within, you know, they're never going to look perfect because they're made from beads, or you can go down the fantasy route. Yes, Ruth, I'm glad you said that. Normal for a long finisher.
And Camille is
I like.
saying, can you hold up the other ones, please, what we were looking, because so they can sit a bit better.
Yes, of course. Yes. Can we go back to those at the end?
Yeah, of course we can.
And I'll give you a quick run through. I've got just one, two, three more left in vases. This is my absolute favourite, and I hope it shows up.
Oh
This is
wow.
my orchid.
Oh wow.
And this is what I mean about going for reality.
Yeah,
Whether you can see,
that
I've
looks
actually got
lovely.
the little roots coming out,
Oh
which
my
are just
God.
wire covered in embroidery thread.
That looks absolutely gorgeous. So do you use more floristry type or do you use more like embroidery thread?
I use both. I will cover the stems with embroidery, sorry, with floral tape, as on this one here. And then if something like this, I would finish it off by wrapping the embroidery thread around it.
Everybody's saying the orchid is stunning. Yeah,
Yes, it's my ex,
I
absolute
really
ex.
need to do some orchids because I got a couple of orchids in the kitchen, but they don't flower too often too much, and I do feed them.
Mm,
But I was thinking like if I did like a similar color for when they flower, one of them is like a little bit pinky, the other one is white. So if I did a similar color orchid, then I could I could like stick that in there and it will be there all the time, whether it's flowering or not, so it will look nice. So sort of
yeah.
combine the real plant with French beading.
Right, last but one of the planted is,
Oh wow, I love this one. This mixed
yeah, this was done as a challenge for Toho beads.
all
So what
right.
they do is they give you a set of beads in specific colours, and you have to use what they give you.
Do you have to use everything or you just have to use partially?
They ask you to use as many as you can, but not, you don't necessarily have to use all of them. Now, these are the sort of things that wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you can see my little lily there,
Yeah.
it's actually got ginkgo beads
Oh wow.
instead of the traditional, you'd normally do a little loop of seed beads. The leaves there have got little domed beads at the top. So they're a bit of a fantasy. So that's where I love using different beads. At the front here, these are teacup beads,
Oh, yes.
and a little bit here, I've just used these lovely um, fire polished beads and just put them on wire as a, again, a sort of fantasy filler, if you like.
Everybody's saying how gorgeous it is.
Now on the, I used a slightly different technique, and it's one that I like playing with, and it's one for my snowdrop, which is Victorian beading.
Oh, yes, and you're gonna have to tell us all. I'm gonna put you mine again. You're gonna have to tell us all like what's the difference between Victorian and French beading.
Right. Well, if we can swap the camera angle so we can go downwards,
Yeah.
then I can show you on another piece. Just talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Everybody's saying how beautiful, and the Sheila's saying they just keep getting better and better. I think that's
Oh,
it's like beading. Let me just take you off. Like beading is like catching a bug because once you caught it and you enjoy it, you just sort of have to go back and do more and more and more and more. And when you can do beautiful things for your home, I think it's even more enjoyable. And then not just for your home, you can gift it, you can make it for friends, you can make it for family, or some people make these up and they do sell them as well.
yes. I did think about it, and I did a workshop with a lady on pricing, and we worked out that one of those snowdrops, if I paid myself a living wage and bought the product wholesale, technically I should sell it for £80.
Yeah.
One snowdrop. No, we need to rethink the pricing. Okay, if you want to go back to the camera, let's see if I've
Right,
got this
let's
camera to work. If not, we can go back.
yeah, that's it. I think that's better now.
It's showing quite blurred in mine.
Let us know how you can see it. I can see it quite clear on my end.
Ladies, how's it looking?
Let us know. I love that one. I love that you use the silver line colors, and are the blue ones are a little bit, are they, is there two different ones in there, or are they,
No, the leaves have got two different colours, but the blue is the same. Now, this is an example of Victorian beading. Thanks, Lucy. So if you look, find a French. If I put the French beaded leaf next to it, when you're French beading, this is the basic. You have a center line of beads, and you're wrapping round your center line of beads. So you've got your beads strung onto your wire, and you're wrapping. Victorian, you're adding your beads one by one, and the wire goes through your beads twice. So you're always using a much finer wire. It doesn't give such a robust feel to your leaves or petals. If I wiggle it, you can see they're quite floppy. I mean, that flower was done with size 8 beads, and that was done for a company that specifically wanted something using size 8 beads. I do normally use size 11s, which is what was made. Sorry, which was what the snowdrops were made from. But I love exploring the Victorian technique. Interestingly, we look at it as a different technique to French beading. In Eastern Europe, they interchange them.
yeah.
They don't recognise it as a separate technique. But it's something that I love playing with. And the light bounces off the beads differently. So if you're mixing French and Victorian, again, yes, Ruth, they do. It's just giving depth to your arrangement.
I think it's all sorts of different techniques, and maybe somebody will come along, maybe 1, 2, 5, 10 years the line, and then gonna do something different with it, and that will become another technique as well. But in the end of the day, like we're all working with wire and we're working with seed beads to replicate nature and create all sorts of different weird and
Mm,
wonderful things. And what I love, because in nature, like they look perfect, but like in like they're not perfect. There's nothing like looks completely perfect. Like, the trees are
no,
gonna have twisted in one side or another. And but like it looks gorgeous. It looks so with beading, like it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, it will still
no.
look really good.
So this is a poinsettia done in the Victorian technique. And if I hold, so the one I'm holding is the French, the one on the mat is Victorian. Now, if I wiggle it, that's quite rigid.
Yeah.
See that
Yeah.
one, as I hold it upside down, the leaves, the bracts, technical, flop. So one of the things that I'm intending to play about with is to try and make them more stable. It's a technique I really do love playing about with.
I think like with that one, like we been making, like Sarah was doing brooches like that with that sort of technique, and what we found, we have to go up a size in bead and use a thicker wire to be able to have a more rigid
Yes,
size. But then like I think what I love about beaded flowers, that when you look at it from far away, the really small beads do look more realistic than the larger beads.
yes, absolutely. I love daisies and gerbera type flowers. So this was an experiment in taking one pattern. So this was a pattern I wrote for a workshop and showing my ladies just by making small changes. So this one, for example, oh, I can't find my camera. There we go. So these have different size loops in the center. This one here has all the orange. Sorry, that one has all the orange beads. That one has a slightly different color around the outside. All made with exactly the same pattern. And these ones, again, fiddled about with petal length. And if you can see that one there, instead of having a beaded center, has got a candy bead at the center.
That looks really
And there are some gorgeous etched candy beads about at the moment, and one shaped like little flowers, and they look great in the center of the flower. They really do. You don't have to just stick with seed beads. You really don't. And it's experimenting. Now this one, I took a
oh
couple of
wow.
bead mixers, and it was just to see what happened when you mix bead finishes, different colors, sort of rainbow effect.
That looks lovely.
Yeah, again, it's got a candy bead at the center.
But I think something like that, even if you're like working on other projects or doing other things, and then you have like maybe 40 beads left over, you could just make one petal and then later on
Yes,
add it together.
it's funny you should say that because I do that if I've got stuff on my wire. I can't just put them back into the container. I tend to just make a little tiny flower and put them in a box, and then I've got a lot of filler flowers. So I mentioned earlier about fantasy or stylized flowers versus realistic looking flowers. So we have the
Oh, I love
cornflower.
it.
Can't find my camera, sorry.
Let me put you up all the way. There we go.
There we go. So you've got the realistic cornflower with a more stylized poppy. And I love that effect.
Ruth is asking, do you need more uniform beads for Victorian style?
Yes, yes, you do. It makes your work look like peyote. The more even your beads, the better it looks. But they still don't have to be perfect. There's no way I would use delicas because for the amount you need and the cost,
Yeah.
it's just not cost effective. I tend to use the same beads and I just cull them.
I think like sometimes there is a it depends on what look you want to go for, because I have tried to make like these ones. I think these ones are like just really cheapy craft seed beads I used for
Mm,
my lavenders. Because you're making little bunches, it doesn't really matter. So you can use your cheap certain techniques, definitely you can use like really cheap beads for it, and then you're going in for quantity because you want to make a whole lot of them in
mm,
the pot. And there is certain techniques where you really want to have more even beads because that just
yeah.
makes it look like even more beautiful.
I mean, those little daisies, they're really forgiving and you can just use your craft seed beads for those. It really doesn't matter if you've got the odd wonky bead. Going back to the gerbera type,
Wow,
that was just making the petals longer, and that has a dome bead at the centre.
that looks lovely. I love that you're putting bigger beads in the middle.
I just like to mix it up. These are zinnias,
They're lovely.
and
That's,
you see at the centre they've got little tiny flowers going around the outside.
and I like the one behind. If you rotate it, it's mixed.
That one,
Yeah,
I had the most gorgeous Mayuki bead, and it was a purple, grey, and white, all speckled on the same bead. But I didn't have enough for the flower. So what I did was 3 layers, and the first layer had the most of the speckled beads, the middle one um, just a slightly smaller amount, and then the outside one had hardly any, and it just gives a great effect. So
lovely. I love it.
what I want to show you on these is when you're doing your flowers, again, it's all in the shaping. They look really realistic because none of the petals are flat. And it's one of the things again that I love about the French beading is if you take a flat wire, a flat petal I was going to use, there we go. So like that. It really doesn't look anything.
I'm gonna put you full screen so you got the whole screen.
Yeah. And you can just scrunch it.
Wow.
As long as you're careful and gentle,
You can
flatten
reshape.
it, and then and quite often when you make something, a petal or a leaf, it doesn't look anything. It's only when you start manipulating it. And in fact they can look a real mess. But when you start just just fiddling, that's all I'm doing is fiddling with it. Now I have laced along the centre to keep your wire loops together.
Yeah, I think like that's sometimes you need to like sort of kind of like for example my I'll keep going back to this one because it's in front of me, but with my lavenders here, when I first made it I wasn't really happy with them because they were like quite close to the ground and they were a little bit floppy, and I just like put it away, and probably about 2 or 3 months later I thought, well, what if I just take each one of them and attach a thicker wire to it to make them taller and
Mm,
stronger. And really, that trick just did it, because now I do love it because they stand up so nice and proud. So just because something is done, like you can always go back and tweak it. And with leaves as well, like you said, you laced it in the middle, which means like you've woven the a separate piece of wire in and out to keep it all together. Just made it stronger, and like just by doing one thing. But if you're at home and trying something out and it doesn't work, sometimes you just need somebody to say, well, that's what you need to do there. Like just do that little bit, just like twist that little bit, and then it will gonna look really beautiful.
what I tend to do if I'm not sure about something or I don't like something is I'll put it away. I'll put it in a cupboard or stick a towel over it, look at it in 48 hours because you come to it with fresh eyes,
Yeah, yeah,
and that sometimes helps.
absolutely.
Or as you say, get another opinion.
I think sometimes I need to like I got. I'm just looking over there. One, two, three, four, five, six. I've got 7 projects on the go, like 7 trees.
Only 7?
I got 8 here. I got eight here. There's one here on the other side as well, which has just taken off my mat. So I got 8 projects on the go, and I flip flop between them. So when I come to a block, and it doesn't have to be French beading, it can be anything. But when I come to a
Mm,
little bit of a block, I sort of stop and like put it on the side, and I go back to it maybe a week later. In some cases I go back to it like 3 months later, and then
yeah,
like oh yeah, I should have done that way, or like let me try it this way, and then it just works. So I never
yeah.
abandon I never abandon a project.
No,
I just pause it.
I think even if you've made a mistake on something, don't ever throw it out because you never know when it will come in handy. You
Lucy's saying.
could, I was gonna say you could make it into a bud. I always underestimate the amount of leaves I need, and if the leaves aren't perfect, just put them at the back where they're not so obvious.
Lucy's saying, I think that's my problem. I'm not very gentle and I twist the wire until they break.
That's just practice. When I when I teach, the first thing I do is give my students a piece of wire that we're going of the gauge that we're going to be using and tell them to twist it. Keep twisting it till it breaks. Twist it, untwist it, twist it again till it breaks. And by practicing, you'll get a feel for what you can and can't do with the wire. And sometimes with the French beading, you can add wires in. It's not easy, but it's not impossible.
So when I was like going back to this, when when I was making this, I was making it on the plane. So I spun everything on there, and I was making the little flowers on the plane. We were flying to Hungary, and because obviously you can't take any scissors or any cutters on the plane, I had to twist the wire. I had to
Hmm.
twiddle the wire until the wire breaks, so then I can go on and make my next little flower. So I think that's a good idea. That's a very good tip. That twiddle your
Mm,
wire until it breaks, so you kind of get a feel to it. Where is the breaking point?
yeah. And remember, as soon as you put a kink in the wire, then that is a weak point in your wire. So smooth your kinks out.
Definitely, absolutely. I have
Mm.
got a couple of pliers. Oh, there is one. I have this out all the time. My nylon jaw
Oh,
pliers.
I love my nylon jaw pliers.
They,
I've
they
gone
are
through so many pairs of them. Yeah,
They are a lightsabers, aren't there? So I
they
didn't ask or didn't even say anything. And look, Maxine just said, "Can you do a tutorial for us, please?" So Maxine, do let us know what flower would you like us to do? Because there is so many of them. I wouldn't even know where to start. We could do like a
mm,
flower of a month and build up a whole bouquet of them.
yes, yeah. Now, for those of you that loved the cactus,
I love this. I'm gonna put you full again.
yeah. So
That
the pine cone is made using exactly the same technique. So it's lots of little, I'm not sure what the bits of pine cone are called, but lots of little, I'll call them leaves. And it's the way they're put together, but it's exactly the same. I've got cactus, whether you can see,
yeah,
it's exactly the same technique. And the beautiful pine branches behind are bugle beads.
I love it. I really do love the look of those branches. I was thinking like just looking at it that you could make so many nice table decorations with that one. And
Oh, yeah.
what like I made not last year, the year before, I made poinsettias to go on a wreath, and I made
Hmm.
one. I made three, and I still need to make one for another friend. But like I got it. This is the thing. Like I had it out. I had it on the front door, and we packed it all away. And last year before Christmas, I went back out to get the decorations out for Christmas, and I got this wreath out from the box, and I was just like, wow, I still really love it. Like in my mind, I
Mm.
sort of forgot how like
How much
beautiful
you
it
liked it.
was. And I got it out and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, that looks really like that looks really, really good. So he went back out on the front door and it's gonna go back out next year and the year after and so on.
You're quite brave putting it out the front door.
Well, yeah, I know, but to be honest, like, well, don't know. I didn't really think about that until you said it. But
Mm.
if somebody would want to take it, like, I'm not saying do take it because please don't take it because it takes a long time to make it up. Um,
And you're addressing?
but then I know the technique. I can always make another one up. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying
Mhm.
to say. So I wouldn't be like, yes, I would be sad about it, but then in a way I would be happy because like he was good enough for somebody to catch the eye and take it.
Oh,
Please don't.
that's an interesting way of looking at it.
I mean, like what you can do. You can't like be. If it happens, it happens. But it looks really nice on the front door.
Mm. Now, we were talking earlier about the effects of different beads
Listen,
and
just everything, Leslie. Teach us everything.
and how they fade and change over time. Now, this is a little plant.
I
I'm not
love
sure how you
it.
pronounce it. I think it's a stilby or still, and I love it. I used um, a sort of crystally bead. Now, my wire should have been non-tarnish. Can't remember where I bought it from, but the wire has tarnish, and it's made the beads look dull, which is a shame. I mean, it'll still look nice in an arrangement, but
I
I'm
think
just a little bit disappointed.
I think it will because especially if you put it next to something shiny, then what will happen? It will enhance
Mm,
the flower next door to it even more, isn't it?
yeah. Hmm. What I'm working on now is my biggest flower,
Carol is saying I'm such a
and
positive person. Like Carol, that's the only way to be because, like, what else are you gonna do? In some
yeah,
cases, in some cases, I can walk into a room and like solve a problem and like make somebody smile. But in other cases, I'm really over positive and it's just too much for people, I guess.
this will be a large poppy. So
Oh
I've got
wow,
as far as the bud. That's the centre of the
wow.
poppy.
Let me put you full again. There we go.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
And then it has large orange orange leaves. Orange purely because I had a bit of an accident. I asked for some seed beads for Christmas a couple of years ago, and sent people a link for green. And when they clicked on the link, it came up orange, and I ended up with 300 grams of bright orange seed beads.
Yeah, but you can do things with it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Not quite what I was expecting. Now, the pattern with the poppy for the leaves
Wow.
of those. Now, this is a technique called scalloping, and now as I've discovered this, I absolutely love it. That's one way of doing the leaves, and then I've made little
Oh,
tiny scalloped leaves. And you can use this technique for flower petals as well. In fact, that's the technique that the poppy petals use. So I love doing those. Which brings me on to leaves. It's it's probably the part of the flower that I like the least. However, it's so important. It really does bring your flowers together. When I did my bouquet, my theme was we had a coffee themed wedding. So I had brown and cream flowers and white. And I decided not to put leaves in, and it's a decision that I regret. I really wish I'd done it now. However, I can't go back. So I play about with making different types. So you've got a type of fern there. I love the scalloped leaves. These
they were
again,
saying what you can do with orange seeds bead. Tulips would be nice in orange seed beads.
yeah, they are.
Calendula. I hope I said that right,
I
Diane.
don't know what that is, but I'll Google it.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have a Google and have a look.
So they are, again, they're bugle beads. Now the pine branches I showed you were 4 bugle beads. These, oh, you can see, are a single bugle bead with a wire that matches closely the colour of your bugle, and it just runs down the back.
Tini is
Now
asking,
these are
would you mind to put a picture up on a handmade group of your bouquet, please?
um I haven't got I haven't got a picture of the bouquet, believe it or not.
Oh
What
no.
I have got, and I'll try and photograph it, is a friend deconstructed it after the wedding and put it round one of our wedding photos. So I'll see what I find, and I'll put up some of the other photos I've got in the group as well of my flowers.
Diana's saying calendula is an old-fashioned marigold with big open flower. Yes, it looks like a
Okay,
little bit like a gerbera, and then it's like got. I just googled it. I'm just looking at it, and it's got like definitely orange petals, and it looks gorgeous.
yeah. Now these are a little bit tiny, but the ivy.
Oh wow!
I played about with those. A friend was renewing her wedding vows,
Oh, hold on, let me.
and I gave her a horseshoe, someone gave me a proper horseshoe, and I wrapped beaded flowers around it and had ivy coming off it. And again, they were just done with manipulate. I drew an ivy shape on some paper and just went round until I'd got the shape. But on this, if you can see, I've used different coloured beads. If I've got just a few green seed beads left, I chuck them in a pot
Yeah,
and then use it. Just again, it's something you can use that will give you some depth to your arrangement. And I think you have now seen just about everything that I haven't given away. I give away lots of my flowers as
I
presents,
can
whether people want
see.
them or not.
I can see on your and I'm gonna come to this because I love the look of that. And
Oh,
hopefully, yes.
how could I forget the wreath?
You forgot that one. Just leave it there for a sec. Is it gonna be we gonna lift it up? It really that looks lovely. That's like a spring summer wreath. I just really do love it. I really do want to make something like that.
Okay, this one, the roses are Victorian beaded, The the leaves are French beaded. You've got a sort of filler flower stroke gypsophila made with just a small round bead, clear in that case. But what I have got is the lavender.
Oh, bless
Let
you.
me hold it up
Yeah,
so we
let
can
me
do
put
it.
you big as well. Like full screen. Let me put you full screen. That's the word I was looking for.
Here. There we go. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
will get my head around this. Okay, this is a different way of making lavender. And those are made using forget-me-not beads.
Oh, wow.
And you just string the forget-me-not beads. Oh, I can't get my words out. Alternating them with seed beads, and it just gives such a cute effect. If you want something quite small, say to go with that. Let's see if I can give you a close up of this.
I love it. I'm just thinking with a smile on my face, and all I'm thinking, like, I want to go and get my bits out of the cupboard and start making
Mm,
something. I love it. I think it's what I love that whatever you make, like you can always add to like a bouquet and like make other bits of pieces and add to it and make other bits of pieces and you can always do more and more.
this wreath came about because I was teaching. Oh, Camille, they are a little tiny bead, and they're just a little flower bead.
With
I'm
like
sure
five
you've got
petals.
a version of them, Kitty. I'm not sure you call them forget-me-not. I think they're
They like
called
got
something
five
else.
petals and the hole goes through. It's like they're like a disc
Yes,
shape. They're like a
yes,
disc shape and the hole goes through from top to bottom and you can come up, just add a bead on it and go back down. That's the
yeah,
one, yeah.
yeah. That's the ones I'm talking about. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying then. Oh yes, I was teaching Victorian roses, and these were basically all my demo flowers. And I was teaching these to a group of U3A ladies, some of some of whom had sight issues. So those two are actually made using size 8 beads rather than size 11.
I think you can make them all sorts of different sizes. And the beauty, if you're using size 8 seed beads, you can use a thicker gauge wire. Therefore, like
Absolutely.
it's more sturdier. And I like, for example, when I'm making I'm flowers, I like to do in point 0.4. And when I'm making leaves, I like to go up to point 0.5, so they're like just a little
Mm,
bit more sturdy.
yes.
What sizes of wire do you use the most?
Um, point 0.5 for flowers and point 0.3 if I'm doing Victorian. I use point 0.3 for things like stamens,
Yeah.
or if it's a small leaf, or if I'm venturing into the world of size 15 beads. It's it's like everything. It's playing and not being afraid to make mistakes. We don't make mistakes, we make design decisions.
No, I call them design features.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a design
Absolutely.
feature. And we were in the beat club the other day, and one of the ladies said, like, "Oh, I need to unpick it. I need to unpick it." And I said, "Let me stop you there. You're not unpicking. You are reverse stitching. You are
Reverse.
reversing your stitching. That's what you're doing. You're not unpicking."
When I was making my bouquet, it was getting really, really heavy. So I had to make a decision, and I swapped from some of the glass flowers to using acrylic. And these are just, and again, I wasn't using seed beads, I was using their little acrylic drop beads, then their little pearls, little black cones.
I think they are perfect because they can like they don't really resemble like a particular flower, but they brighten up and bring everything together, isn't it?
I needed some filler flowers,
Yeah.
and if I'd stayed with the seed beads, I'd have needed a bridesmaid to hold the bouquet up for me.
You need
It
a
was pretty
trolley to
heavy.
push it.
So yeah. So yeah, that was just a way around it. And it just demonstrates that we don't have to stick with seed beads. We've all got all sorts of weird and wonderful shaped beads in our bead boxes. So, experiment, play. Don't be frightened by it. Just go for it.
Sheila is saying, Kitty, thank you for bringing Leslie and her wonderful creations on today. Leslie, you are
Oh,
such an inspiring, your work is fabulous, such a clever lady.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I've really enjoyed showing them to you. So thank you for having me.
I did see that you were a little bit nervous at the start, and I think like as it went on, and look, we've been on for an hour, it flew by. I think you really came
Wow.
out, and it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
Oh, it was great. The worst bit was that countdown before we started.
I think yeah, but there's sometimes that's good because like if you like you got canned and you like get to into that for mind
Yeah.
space for me that you're gonna go live and you're gonna do it. I love it. I really do love all the flowers. What you and I'm serious. Yeah, one. I have got poinsettias on the go because I need to finish that last reef. So I
Mhm.
got beads already spun on, but I need to get it out from the cupboard, and I need to finish that this year for my friend in Hungary so I can take it out for her. Oh, everybody's saying thank you.
Oh, oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I think like the French beading, or like we do the trees and do all sorts of different decors. Like you're working with wire, you're working with beads, and but it's therapeutic in a different way. Like I love stitching beads together with needle and thread, and like you done embroidery
Mm.
as well, like stitching beads
Yeah.
down, stitching threads down. But I think it's give you a different sort of like a satisfaction, a different sort
Mm.
of feel, and I think it's just fabulous. Oh, everybody's saying thank you so
Something
much, and
very
you.
I was gonna say there's something very therapeutic about using a bead spinner as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're Marmite, you either love them or hate them. I love my bead spinners.
Oh, I
You know,
love my.
just sitting there. I think it's the sound of the bead spinner rotating.
I got three bead spinners. I have to confess up. I got a little travel one which I can take with me, and like a little plastic one, and then I got a wooden one which that was my first one what I had, and I do have an electric one as well. And when I get the electric one out, and Christopher just like he loves doing it, so he would he would
Mm.
spin all the beads up for me in the lounge while watching
Oh.
something.
My glamorous assistant has located a photograph of the bouquet, so I'll put it in the group after.
Oh, bless you. That's great. And there's so often we forget to take photographs like that, don't we?
Mhm.
It's just I do so many I like you go somewhere, you go on holiday and you see all these people taking photos all the time, and I just don't I just forget, and then after like especially like birthday parties and stuff like that we do for the
Mm.
children, I forget to take photos, and like the end of the day I was like, oh what are we gonna do now, quick let's stand together, but I always forget. Oh, Johnny's saying thank you, you are an inspiration. And Teresa's saying she loves her electric spinner. What spinner have you got, Leslie?
I've got the manual ones. I didn't get on with the electric spinner. I like being able to control the speed. But it's horses for courses. Some people like what I like about the electric one though is that you've got the spare bases,
Yeah,
the spare bowls, not base.
yeah. So you can change
Um,
the colors
I
that
think I've
are.
got I think I've got 5 bead spinners. I want more.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's just got a massive collection of them.
I think there's a lady in one of our bead clubs on Friday, Linda, and she made her own bead spinner.
Mm.
She got like this little, I think it's a salad dryer thing, what you can spin.
Yes.
And then she stuck a steady on the top of it, and I was
Yeah.
just amazed. I was really amazed that she had something at home, and then she turned into a bead spinner. I was really amazed
Mm.
when we we're doing one of the.
What some ladies have done is taken a commercial bead spinner and worked a way of adding other bowls to it.
Oh yeah, you can
I'm
get
not sure how that works,
you
but
can buy like some of the plastic inserts to like go over the bead spinners, but I don't think.
I'd
Yeah,
I'd forgotten about those. Have you tried them?
I've got some somewhere for my wooden ones, but
Mm.
they are quite. They're not as strong as the wooden ones. So like they're not as
Yeah.
strong as a ball. Maybe we
Mhm.
need to look into it. Like you could do all sorts of different things.
Yeah. I need to find a tame wood turner and get him to make me some bespoke ones. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
See, Tina's saying the size 8 ladies with slight problems. Would you show those again? Would you grade 8 buttonholes? They are heavy.
No, they're not heavy. They're perfect for buttonholes. So we have the
I don't
blue
think you
one.
can see the size 8, and I'm gonna put you full screen. I don't think you can see it so much. I think
I
because
think it's because we've not got anything next to it.
yeah,
Let me so the scalloped leaf,
yeah,
they're 11s, and then you've got your rose with
eight.
the 8.
I don't think you can see. I can see like there's a bit of a difference, but I don't think you can
Mhm.
see it that much.
Yeah.
And especially if you look at it from far away, you won't be able to see it so
That
much.
that arrangement, they're 11s. So you can see how much bigger it is.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's made using exactly the same pattern. So did you quickly want to look at some of the others that were a little bit blurred? The
Yeah,
ladies asked
good
for
time.
vases.
Absolutely. I know we like it's over 11 o'clock. I got time.
Oh, is
I
it? Oh
don't mind.
goodness, I'm so sorry. I said to you this morning you wouldn't be able to shut me up once you got me
I know.
started.
It's good. It's all good. We're all good. Oh, wow. Yes, I can see
Oh,
the two colors in them now. Absolutely beautiful.
okay,
That
and
looks
there's the
really
little
good. Do you
bowl.
like somebody was suggesting in one of the posts, I think, do you put like essential oils or anything like that on your flowers? Would you put them to make them smell nice or
No, because I don't know what they would do to the beads,
yeah.
and a lot of essential oils are poisonous to cats.
Oh yes, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh wow. This is the one you said the color changed. So what color were they
yeah.
originally?
That was a deep pink.
Right. So it's a big big difference from a deep pink to go
Yeah.
white.
I tip it though. On that one, that's that is actually an Azera coffee tin with string wrapped round it.
Wow.
The the little anchor from my husband's boat is his passion. But I've used it's the little acrylic beads I had left over from the wedding bouquet. And I've just put PVA and patted them into the PVA, which just gives a slightly different
Different.
effect.
I think that looks
There's
really
so
good.
many different ways. One thing I want to explore is resin, so it looks like water in a clear vase.
But I think you could get other things as well. So for the trees, I use like in aquatic shops and in garden centers, you can get like really sort of finer grit, like very small pebbles, and you could PVA
Yes,
those as well.
my lovely snowdrop.
I love those. So is that French beading or is that Victorian?
That's that's Victorian.
Because you're crossing over in the beads.
Yeah. Now Victorian works well for the leaves there because you get that lovely curve. And if you were making them in the French technique, you would have to lace them. Otherwise the loops would just come apart.
I think what's great is that you can mix the two techniques together, or you can, well,
Oh, I love mixing them.
it's your creation. You can do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Let me just put you there so they can see it better. That's lovely. I love
See, you can
roses.
see a stray loop there, but it's, you know, it's fine. It's what makes your work unique.
I think like with with the trees, when we do like trees, I always say they can always go back with a pair of pliers and just slightly tweak it and slightly twist it and
Oh,
slightly play with it,
absolutely.
and then
I'm back where we start.
right, let me just put your main screen. That looks lovely. I love that some you got larger beads in the middle and using all sorts of different bits, and I love the
Yeah.
shine of it as well. That you get some of them are more shiny, some of them are more matte, and
Mhm.
just really all comes together.
And in case you hadn't worked out that I was a crazy cat person, that was my something blue, and it represents my two cats.
Can you explain the lace them? What do you mean
I
lace
can
them?
indeed. Let me show you one of these. Okay, so this is a scalloped leaf, and it's basically, if you can see here, the loop, the whole leaf is just made with loops. If you didn't lace, the loops would just fall apart. So when you lace, you're taking a very fine wire. I use a 0.2 and match it as closely as you can to your leaf colour, and you basically sew them together. That's all it is. And it just holds your loops together. And if you're doing the basic technique for leaves, again, it just holds everything together. I'm not sure whether it'll show up, but can you see the
Yeah, I can
stitching
see
there
it.
on the back?
I can see it.
And again, it's Marmite. You'll either love doing it or hate doing it.
But I think like if your beadwork was a little bit looser or it wasn't like, you can do that to remedy it, to make it a bit
Yes.
more even, to bind all the different rows together. So and this is why like it comes in like for Leslie is she's been doing it for 7 years and like every single time you learn something little and apply to it and it just makes your beading better.
Oh,
You,
absolutely.
you
I
become
learn all the time.
become a
I
better
learn by
beader.
doing it. I learn by looking at other people's flowers and listening to people and just playing.
Lorna is saying would be great to have a tutorial on Victorian and the lacing for basic. I find my leaves a gap a bit. Oh, we will arrange something, Lorna. I will talk to Leslie. Don't worry. Yeah, I will
Oh, I
record.
would love to. Absolutely love to.
No, but well, my lovelies, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. It's Easter Sunday, so I hope the Easter Bunny bought you some eggs and chocolate and like anything. I did get a box
The
of
Easter
chocolate from.
Bunny bought me a squirrel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that well-known Easter animal. A
Yes, yes,
Ferrero
that one.
Rocher squirrel. That's chocolate, hazelnut chocolate.
I think it's so funny. Like sometimes when you talk about Easter and like, you talk about the Easter bunny and the Easter chick and like, and for little kids, I love when they like Lucy asked once, like, does bunnies lay eggs? And I was like, no, she was very little. She was only about 3 years old. And this was like, over 10 years ago. She was like, does the eggs come from bunnies? I was like, no. She didn't quite understand it, but I love
Oh,
it.
bless.
You forget all about all of these things until like you go back and think about it. But
Mm.
I love Easter. I love we're not doing a hunt anymore because they're like a bit older. So Christopher, like Lucy will be 14 next week. I mean, I don't know where the
Wow.
time gone. And obviously Christopher will be 11. So we don't really do an Easter egg hunt
Mm,
anymore. But they're definitely looking forward to the sort of the Easter and I'm like by the end of tomorrow, I think all the chocolate what they get will be gone. So bless them. Right, everybody, have a lovely, lovely day. And Leslie, thank you so much for coming
oh,
on
it's
and
been a pleasure.
showing off your very amazing creations. And we crossing fingers. We will be talking in the background, so she will be back soon to show us some bits of pieces.
And thank
Oh,
you,
Truth is
everybody,
saying,
for.
Truth is corrected us. Only Easter bunnies lay eggs. There we go.
Oh, okay.
So the Easter bunny can do it. Right, everybody, have a lovely, have a happy Sunday.